You can see what I miss. You always have.
I don't know that this thing can be killed.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
A foreign invader tries to decimate a tribe of Native Americans. But he's not white! This is spoilers!
This is spoiler.
I see what you did.
You see what I did there? Did you like that? Yeah, did you like that? Okay, hello, this is your host, Stevie. Kind of recording on an off day. This is cool. Today we are spoiling the new and much improved Predator movie, Prey. Let's go from Eastus to Weastus. And let's do this. Pappy kind of brought this to my attention earlier. If you could put the Predator in any time period, what would it be?
I'm Weastus.
Yeah.
My name is Mikey, recording from Chicago, Illinois, and yeah, this was an easy decision for me. It's clearly I want to see a samurai go up against a predator. I think that'd be coolest. Just a bunch of samurai trying to take one predator down would be really cool. Another cool time period, Vikings would be cool. I'm just thinking of Assassin's Creed games that I...
Hey, don't take up all the time periods, Mikey.
Okay, that's all I got.
This is Josh from Goshen. I have
Thank
no
you.
idea if I'm next. Hopefully we edited out that long pause.
No, it stays.
Pregnant
The
pause.
pause stays.
Stevie never directs the opening question. He just lets you figure out who's Eastus or
Hey, I
Weastus.
can't hold your
Each time.
hand. You guys are all over 30. I can't hold your hand forever, all right?
Get a compass.
I'm going to call it Josh from Goshen. That's me. I'm going to just put the Predator... I think an hour and a half movie of him fighting different dinosaurs would be really cool. And we can just kind of lose the human plot. It's just him against ever increasingly large and ferocious dinosaurs. I think it's pretty cool.
This is
Is
Pappy.
this a Universal movie?
Is Vin Diesel in it?
Yeah.
20th century. So a Disney movie.
This is Pappy. We're coming from Kalamazoo, Michigan. This is pretty easy for me as well, Stevie. I want the Predator just to team up with the Time Bandits. Like, I'm not going to pick one specific time, but we're talking about the most ambitious crossover in cinema history, where the Predator just, like, fights Napoleon.
Oh, he's not
Jennifer.
fighting the bandits. Okay.
No, they're teaming up.
Okay.
They're on the same team. It's like AVP, but with Time Bandits.
God, that's lame.
That sucks. That's awful.
Well, remember when Stevie tried to pick Time Bandits for spooky spoilers? He tried to redo it.
Yeah, it led to chaos too.
Made me sad.
This is Brett, recording out of Fort Wayne. I did see a poll question about it. The two that I remember were both really cool. One was, like you mentioned, feudal Japan and medieval, like England. I think those are both amazing, but I'm going to go with what Mikey said. Feudal Japan.
You're going to take
Predator's
Mikey's
just-
answer?
No, I'm just my
This
answer
is
already.
a lot of people want this. I think they should make it happen for sure.
This is a bit of a dangerous topic because Steve from Big Dumb Movie, if you guys remember him, one of Corey's buddies, he is like, I listened to their, what is that Tom Cruise movie, Last Samurai?
Last Samurai.
He is like a samurai expert. It's ridiculous. He goes deep. So just be careful what you guys say. There may be a fact checker listening.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
This is Stevie recording from Elkhart. What I would kind of like to see, I mean, since this movie was set like in 1700, like the early 1700s, which is pre-Manifest Destiny, it'd be kind of cool to see the Predator show up during Manifest Destiny and kind of stop a part of it. I think that would be kind of neat.
Oregon Trail, but it's like the Predator is one of the things that can get
Well,
you.
yeah, but it's not like, white people killing all the Native Americans in the name of God. It's the Predator showing up and killing all the white people. That'd be kind of nice.
It happens in this movie. He sent the French fur trade back a good 2 decades.
That's not the same.
He killed Lewis and Clark. It's off screen.
Stevie, you had a blazing hot take to start the podcast. I don't want to skip over that. You think this is the best Predator movie?
Yeah, I do.
Much improved, he said.
Much improved.
I don't know.
Upon what? What's his face's black? Whatever. What's his
Shane
name?
Black?
Shane Black.
Oh, dude,
Shane
the
Black's last
Predator
Predator movie.
Oh my god, that movie is so bad. Like, has anybody else seen all the Predators except for me?
I have not seen The Predator.
Okay, well,
Pretty bad.
Have you seen like Predators with Adrian Brody?
Yeah. Yep.
Tragic movie. That movie's god awful. Like, put it this way,
I don't know about god awful. I was disappointed with it. I thought it was going to be a lot better.
it's
That's the one where they go to the planet, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
god awful. Like, let's look at it this way: Predator, like, it's not like they're like churning out bangers as far as like sequels go. It only took like 35 years to make another good Predator movie. And if you ask me, hey, you could watch any movie, and I understand that one can exist without the other, I'd rather watch Prey. I don't know about you guys.
Definitely not.
I get what you're
over the
saying.
Original, but
Yeah, I think you sounded at the original. Sorry, Stevie. At the beginning, you sounded like Prey is better than the original Predator. That's what we all took you to mean.
Yeah,
And that's what
that's
you're
what
saying.
I'm saying.
No, you went into this diatribe about how it's better than the sequels and stuff, and I do agree with that. But
No, but I also understand that like Prey cannot exist without Predator. But as far as like an actual movie goes, I'd rather watch Prey, and I think it's a better movie.
Dude, we've literally been saying this since 10 Cloverfield Lane, who directed this movie?
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah. Dan Trachtenberg.
He also directed that, but we've been saying we want like a serialized movie franchise. Or wait, what is it? Episodic? I always get those confused. Like where it's just like self-contained stories.
Anthology.
Anthology.
Anthology. You don't have to like connect. It doesn't have to be like continuity. Doesn't matter. Just like brand the Predator in different times. I love it so much.
Yeah. Or even just like Predator adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be like about the Predator. Something you can make something like a really small kind of like, I don't know. You can make a kind of a smaller movie without Predator, just kind of like either something that's an aftermath or in the shadows. But I get what you're saying. I'd really like that.
Brett, I have to come clean. I know this movie is like sub 90 minutes, but I wanted to see more. I wanted a 2-hour movie.
it was pretty cool. I don't know. It was pretty tight. And
Like, there's no wasted space, I feel like,
No.
and that's really good. But I also wanted more because it was really good.
yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be good for you to want it to be. I mean, because it's really short.
It is so
92
short,
minutes or
yeah.
something. Which usually is the perfect amount of time.
How is this on all of your guys' radar? Because I literally didn't know it was coming out. I didn't hear anything about it until you guys started talking about it in the group thread, because it wasn't a theatrical release. This is straight to streaming.
Saw it on I have when new trailers come out, I get a. God, I don't remember how Brittany and I saw it, but it popped up one time. I was like, "Oh, it looks good." She's like, "Oh, that's bad," but she liked it though. She just doesn't like Predator.
Yeah, I think I saw something either on a Hulu like a month ago or a trailer on YouTube. But
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, I had not even heard of it, but yeah, it's crazy that this wasn't in theaters. Absolutely mind
It would look really cool, I bet.
Because what came out this week in theaters? Like fucking nothing. This
Yeah.
would have crushed.
This
I
won
read,
the
I read
weekend.
why they did that though. I can't remember what they said. I
Disney
think it says
something.
the last one bombed. Something to do with Disney because they're like whatever company this is.
20th century Disney owns them now.
But yeah, it was just. I think if they knew how huge it was going to be. I think it's like the number one streaming movie on Hulu like ever already or something like that. I could be wrong, but I think they were regretting it now. But yeah, it would look really, really cool, I think.
Hey, Josh, I have a question for you.
What's up?
You're a really good editor. Do you ever like edit movies in your head as you're watching them?
Explain.
So, like, are you ever watching movies being like, okay, I would have cut that, or, you know, I would have made that longer, or I would have done this with that? Do you ever just kind of play that over in your head since you edit film so much?
I do afterwards. I don't think I'm sharp enough to, like, do it live.
Okay,
You know
so
what I
my
mean?
question for you is, in my head as I was watching it, I was, like, trying to cut it to where we, like, held off showing the Predator as long as possible. I think that would have... What's up?
Okay, this is interesting, because this is you holding true to your laurels. When we did the Predator pod, you said you hated how they show the spaceship flying into orbit at the very beginning of that
And
movie.
I hated it in this, too.
I loved it again.
Despised it.
The difference is, though, Stevie, in the 87, that was new. Like, this at least is understandable because people know what it is. But back in 87...
Well, I'm trying to, like, kind of throw this at Josh, is like, if you were to prolong it as far as possible in this film of, like, showing the Predator or anything, like, Predator-esque, where would you have shown, like, your big reveal?
I think it really works, Stevie, to have, like, seen weird things happen in the clouds and her relating that as
that's
Native
one
American
thing.
legend.
That's
really
one
cool
thing.
to me.
But not, like, full-on showing the ship and then, you know, showing the Predator, like, looking at other, like, prey or predators in the wilderness. Like, where would you have, like, revealed a Predator?
I like what they... You know how I answered dinosaurs at the beginning of this pod? I think I liked a lot of what they were doing with animals here. They even show, like, a mouse eating an ant, and then a rattlesnake eating that mouse, and then the Predator, like...
Time in the chain, bro.
Yeah, and then the Predator, like, slits the throat of the snake, because it's, like, this mini food chain he's on top of or something. So maybe it could have worked better if she had to, like, fight the bear, and they think that... Or fight the lion, and they think that threat's gone. And then they're like, oh, no, there's something else. It's the bear. And they get rid of that, and then they're like... Then it's like... There's still something else after all of that. Maybe that would have been slightly better.
If I could have one wish, it would be I watched this movie and didn't know it was a Predator sequel at all. Right? Like that I walked into a theater to see Prey and was surprised that the Predator showed up. Because I feel like it could almost work on that level, like you're describing. Like it doesn't even have to be Predator. You know what I mean? They barely acknowledge that movie.
I mean, we're people that watch a lot of movies, so like we ended up seeing the trailer. I think a lot of people ended up watching this having that experience because like
it's like Split.
It was just so badly marketed. Like I think a lot of people just turned it on and were like, "Holy shit, this is Predator!"
Yeah,
and I think it does a lot to like what is that Star Wars phrase? To your expectations, something.
I don't...
Subvert your expectations or whatever.
I'm glad you can apply it to Star Wars.
Yeah. I think this movie does like a lot of that, like with the scene in the mud. Like I was expecting like Predator to walk by and like not see her, but I think that was kind of like...
That was a real nice touch, Mikey.
I think there's just, it's just a lot of stuff like that in this movie.
# make quicksand scary again.
I was horrified of it as a kid. But
I haven't seen it for a while.
Yeah, I know. But to kind of answer my own question, though, Josh, like, as, like, in my head, I was, like, cutting all Predator scenes, the movie still worked. And this is just how my brain works. What I think, like, what the director would have done is the big reveal would have been, like, the bear getting pulled off the beaver dam. And, like, as blood is, like, dripping on the Predator and, like, he lifts up the bear over his head, like, that's, like, the big reveal. I think that would have been a neat thing to do.
Dude, that is so fucking sick.
That
is like the best action scene I've
I
seen
love
this year.
that scene.
Which scene?
Where the bear is like coming at the beaver dam.
Oh, yeah.
I love that
The
she
whole thing
swims
with the
under
bear
the
is
water. Yeah, into the beaver dam. I was like, that's cool. I've never seen that in a movie before.
Who would have ever thought that we'd see the Predator have like a fist fight with a bear, have a fist fight with a wolf? I don't think we got to see it fight the lion. I don't know if it fought the lion or not, but I thought it looked really cool, especially when it was like he was invisible. And like, or when the wolf went by him and like bit his leg and the blood squirted out. Like, that was just so cool looking.
Can I respond to Stevie, though? I love what you're saying with the bear, because what I didn't like about that action scene is that I don't think the Predator should be, like, straight up stronger than a grizzly bear. I think he could lift him up after he's, like, dead, right? But they have, like, this muscle contest. They grapple.
But
like,
yeah,
how strong...
that's the Predator's whole thing, is to match eye for eye.
It's not...
It is.
But yeah, that's why he didn't use like the darts on it. Right?
Yeah,
like,
he went to it with like fist. That's why he used like fangs on the wolf and fangs on the snake.
Why did that one Frenchman have a knife and then he just like throws this fan blade and cuts him in two or
that
something?
Is a shield that cuts his head off.
He also blew them up with like a nuclear bomb thing or something.
Listen, once technology is on the table, the Predator's got you
like,
beat.
you know what? Fuck you guys.
Okay, first of all, he can turn invisible, so he's cheating in the right off the bat in the first place. He's a sneaky guy. Like, he's taking all of the advantage he can get.
And plus,
Brett using camouflage like hunters do, though.
And like, once you take
true.
his sneak attack away, of course he's gonna go nuts. He's in the open. What do you want him to do? Die?
Did you like the look of the Predator?
Oh, he's awesome.
I missed the classic design, but that's more from Predators, I think, right, Stevie?
What's that?
His like tusk, like
Yeah,
design?
I mean, so there's two, but like this is technically a third subspecies. What he's being called
Really?
now?
Wait.
A
slow down.
subspecies?
Yeah.
Well, you guys
subspecies?
haven't seen Predators, have you?
Stevie's our cryptozoologist.
No, please.
So there's like your typical like jungle predator, I guess, and then there's like super predator.
super Predators. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like different casts.
Oh yeah.
of Predators.
Super predators and the jungle predators are at war with each other on their own planet, and this predator, who's being called feral predator, which I really like that name, apparently, according to the director, is another species of predator on the same planet.
This is why anthology is way less dumb than a big, long, canonical, serialized series. Like, who cares? Just give me a story with the Predator.
I know, but like the other thing that's funny, kind of funny too, though, is like his like bone mask is from the movie Predators.
Yeah.
It's from an animal like or a species that is just in that movie for 99 minutes too less. That is so cool.
In my mind, this is my fourth Predator movie, I think. I'm less interested in like species and subspecies and like separate races of predators, and I'm more interested in like the individual predators, like his own personality, if they have anything like that, you know? And I'm wondering, Brett, very heady with the canon, does this Predator in this movie have any sort of like personality that you can discern? Like, what's his shtick?
I would say he's got the least amount of personality of any of the ones we've seen. I mean,
Really?
the other ones use like voice boxes. They like to mimic their people. They use it against them.
Like taunting?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he plays massive head games with Mac in the first movie before he blows his head off. So, yeah, and then the see around still kind of creeps me out a little bit. Over here.
I like seeing the different stuff the different Predators bring in each movie, and this guy had cool shit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
The shields, that was pretty fucking sick. And if you've played God of War, he has like the God of War shield where it like opens up around his wrist or whatever.
That's who they
pretty
modeled
cool.
it off of, Mikey.
Oh, they said
Yeah,
that?
the director
that's
came
pretty
out and
cool.
said that he got that idea from God of War.
It's really fucking cool. And he now has like arrows instead of like the laser cannon thing. Because I think, like, yeah, this is like a lower tech version of a Predator or whatever.
What's the deal with how he meets his demise? Like, so the lasers is where the mask is pointing? I didn't really understand.
It's a guidance system.
Yeah, it's
so,
a guiding system.
And then if he doesn't know that, like, he probably thinks that that's way away somewhere or broken, but she had set it up so it was pointed at him. I think if
Pappy,
it was out of range
do you have a
or
garage?
something.
Have you ever lived in a house with a garage door? Is this
Oh, yeah, you gotta
There's
jump
this-
over the laser.
Yeah, there's
when
a little
you close the door.
Yeah, okay, you got it.
Okay.
That's all you had to say, Brett.
He shoots, and the laser tracks wherever the arrow goes, or the laser guides wherever the arrow goes, or whatever. But I think it like also recognizes when like there's a weapon in view or something, and then it like targets whoever's holding that or something.
So if the mask would have been destroyed, it would have just shot straight at her.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Oh no, I like what Mikey is saying. It's not
Because I was trying to figure out how did she turn the mask on. She's like 20 feet away from it. But I think it like targets someone threatening Predator or something.
Yeah, it doesn't shoot until he's at like the precipice of attacking, right, Mikey?
Yeah. He fires around and it like curves right at her face. Like it just loops around and hits him.
It makes sense. Like I could see like an Elden Ring. It'd be a great Ash of War to have something like if someone's about to hit you from the side, it just like dings them to like stun them back. You know what I mean? Like it's one sort of like last defense system. It's pretty cool. I like that, Mikey.
He didn't code his face for a failsafe though. He's pretty lazy and just like don't shoot myself in the head. And code that in.
Come on. Do it. Come on, do it.
This is as far as you go. No more. This is it.
Pappy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you like how we went from muscled up and oiled up bodybuilders to, a small little Native American girl named Naru?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. It makes sense that the Predator would have almost a harder time killing these kind of people, right? Because like you said, he lives by this code of honor. So they're more dealing with, like, guns are barely a factor in their world. It's like the very end of the movie when she brings back the gun. So, like, the whole tracking element, like the way that their culture, which is, I think this is the Comanche people.
Yeah.
Right?
Comanche tribe.
And if you watch, like, the movie, like, The Searchers, like, they do not treat the Comanches well in that movie. It's pretty bad. So, like, it's good to see, like, that. And like I said, I think it makes sense that, like, these people would be almost, like, on more even footing than the Predator, because they're not as dependent
That's how
on
Dutch won.
technology and guns.
I mean, it's not like Arnie went in guns a-blazing. He got pretty crafty in the end.
Definitely.
I think my favorite scene, Pap, is where the Predator approaches 3 of the Comanche. It's actually 4, but what's the main girl's name?
Naru?
Yeah, Naru is like in cuffs. So the Predator just like blasts the first guy with his arrow things. And then like he takes the other 2 guys on it, and those guys hold their own really, really well. I freaking love that scene. That's my scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
agree.
lasted 30 seconds. They held their own.
They did
pretty
better
well.
than the bear.
I don't know, man. That bear got some pretty good strikes in.
They stabbed him.
The brother got him pretty good too.
This Predator takes a lot of damage. He
Yeah,
was pretty
he's-
fucked up.
For sure. He doesn't really have the technology, I don't think, as good a technology.
A lot of HP, though.
Oh, I think he's just an adolescent predator at this point. I think this is probably his first, Kutamiya, so to say. That's my guess of it. This is his probably first round with it. But I also love that scene in the grass. I don't know why, but to see, like, invisible predator run across the grass and just see blood explode, I thought looked awesome.
I love how the guy's just, like, taking a shit. But that's why he's out there, right? Like, I don't know. Like, this movie does set up and pay off so well. Like I think we were saying this earlier. Like, there's no wasted space. Like, even the thing with the bowstring, you know what I mean? Like, how he starts to tell that story about the wet bowstring, and then, like, later on when her bowstring doesn't work. Like, there's so many little things.
What about just the way that they shoot the bows? It's so cool. It's quick and kind of just not what you typically see from, like, a Western bow shooting standpoint. It just feels more realistic.
When her brother is like fighting the predator and he dies, he's like only using one bow and he keeps yanking it out of the predator's like abdomen and shit and firing it again. It's pretty sweet.
Her brother's awesome in this movie.
Tabi?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he lie, though, about the lion story?
What do you mean?
Early in the movie, like I said before, remember we got these like chains of animal things happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lion fight, and Naru.
More like a mountain lion, right?
Yeah, but they call it a lion, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like on screen, like she stabs it in the side and then knocks out. But then later her brother's like, no, I did that all yourself. You need to like stop fucking hunting. Like that's not your thing. Stop. And then later he reveals, like, no, I didn't do it all on my own. You weakened it severely, and I was able to finish it off.
It.
It seemed like she just stabbed it straight through the side.
Yeah, I thought she killed the damn thing at first.
It's a lie by omission. He doesn't really lie. And, like, once you come back to the elders and everyone's, like, partying with you.
He lied. He said we didn't do it, I did it.
I think he was protecting his sister.
He lied and he died. He paid the price.
Bro.
Pap, I don't know why, but you sounded just like Trump when you said that. He lied and he died.
Listen, it's a beautiful predator, the best predator I've ever seen.
He's got like 40 abs. They go all the way up his chest.
What about the people who are calling Naru a Mary Sue? I found that interesting.
God.
Dude, she runs away for 80% of the movie. She's like in handcuffs just running away.
Well, Stevie, this is what you always talk about is like the main character has to fail. And I don't think I've ever seen a main... Like, she fails probably up until that moment when she's in the quicksand and she throws the axe and it finally sticks when it's like her last possible throw. That's like the first thing she does that works.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, in my opinion, when it comes to mainly hero stories, or really any story in general, if you want to find it interesting, your main character has to fail over and over and over again. And that's what usually makes the growth and ending so satisfying.
If there is a Mary Sue scene, though, it's the one where she kills like 12 Frenchmen, Stevie. Right?
Oh, you're talking about the no cut?
Yeah, it's a cool scene and it looks awesome, but she like whips 12. She's... You liked it, Pat?
Sorry, I like that it's a single take, but the shaky cam I did not love.
Yeah.
In that scene.
I didn't mean to derail you there, Stevie. Please continue.
No. It's just... you're right in a sense that she does kind of go, a little nutty on those Frenchmen, but mainly her growth is through the Kutamiya. Getting that perfect hunt, or, learning to survive from that crazy hunt. And I just think the Frenchman is really a part of that growth story. I could be wrong.
Brett, what do you think? Could she take on those Frenchmen?
Remember, she's a Comanche.
Comanche. John Wayne would say.
I mean, some of them, I guess. I don't...
Also, it takes 20 seconds to reload a fucking musket, okay? She's throwing an axe at people. Like, guns were bullshit back then, okay? Like, you gotta fucking nail it on the first shot or you're gonna get, close combat taken out. She has an axe. She's throwing it at people. It's way faster.
The movie making with her with an axe with a rope attached to it and yanking it back and catching it is really cool.
It's fucking God of War, man.
Yeah, she would be like Aloy, like in Horizon Zero Dawn. She's like, she would be really cool. She's shooting an arrow. She's like kick flipping off of trees and shit. She's really cool. The scene with the bear running up the hill chasing after her, that was terrifying. I think that was a really good scene as well. Where, I don't know. Bears are so scary, and that thing is just like hauling ass up that hill. And then she like jumps down.
All-time movie dog to chase that bear away.
Sorry.
And then the dog comes around.
We haven't even talked about the dog yet.
Mikey,
this
tell us about the
awesome.
dog.
Looks like dog meat from Fallout.
Yes.
This dog has a very distinct face. Like, you would recognize this dog out of 100 dogs instantly. I don't know how they found it, but it's so smart. It's such a great actor in this movie. And I compared it to Eddie from Frasier. It's such a good dog actor in my Letterboxd review. As someone who's seen every episode of Frasier, that is the best goddamn dog acting I've ever seen.
Man,
My favorite shot of the whole movie. Oh, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, best friend Drew Rockland's going to have Mikey as his favorite host now. He loves.
He watches Frasier?
He loves Frasier. Brett probably
Eddie's the
doesn't.
best fucking. Eddie is S tier of dog acting,
Totally.
and then right under it is this dog.
Sorry, yeah.
My favorite shot of the whole movie is that super long tracking shot as she's going through her village or community or whatever, right? And like, I watched it like 4 or 5 times, and then I'm like, holy shit, they did this one take with a dog.
Yeah.
Running around. You know what I mean? Like, that would be so frustrating to not only have to deal with all of like the people and the extras, but like, you have a live animal.
According
in
to
this,
the
too.
director, it was ungodly frustrating to get that shot done.
That dog has more personality than the Predator in this movie. That dog is like incredible. Really great animal acting in this movie.
And Pap, I'm with you though. I did love that tracking shot. I've seen far too many movies in the past 10 years that will have a tracking shot like that, but it's out of focus. And it kind of makes you wonder why it's even a tracking shot to begin with. And to see like everything in full view, and I know some people get bothered by it and everybody just screams J.J. Abrams when they see it, but I didn't mind the lens flares when the sun hit it at all because it just looks so cool. But, you know, I know we're saying everything we love about this movie, and I brought up, you know, how much I hated, you know, seeing the Predator so early or seeing the ship so early. Is there anything in this movie you guys, like, didn't care for at all or didn't ring right with you?
I like your point about just like holding off showing Predator or like going in not knowing it's Predator.
I think that was a studio choice to, like, show Predator and the ship so early.
But why? It's straight to streaming anyway. What have you got to lose?
I don't know.
I like the shaky cam. I thought some of the CGI at times was a little bit suspect.
Some of the CGI is not the best, but it's like it's like nobody knows how this movie was made. Nobody heard anything about it. Like, what was the budget? And it's like, for a streaming movie, I don't think I could ask for anything better. It's certainly better than anything Netflix has made. I don't know. It's just like, this movie is so bizarre in how it was marketed and what we know about it. Like, if it was a shoestring budget, this movie is fucking incredible. But if it was like over $100 million or something, it's like, why didn't you just use more money on the CGI? Because the CGI is probably, I would say, the biggest thing hurting it.
I don't think this movie's close to 100, Mikey.
That's what it's like. Nobody has any idea how this movie
I mean,
was
if
made.
I had to make a modest guess, maybe 45. Like 45, 50, somewhere in there. Because it's not like you have like tons of actors to pay, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like these people's, you know, rate is, you know, $5 million a piece.
That dog gets top dollar.
I wouldn't be
They went
shocked.
to the banana stand for Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Like, I would not be shocked if Sorry was the highest paid actor. I really wouldn't be.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Have at it.
Is Brett silently picketing this podcast?
No, you caught me at a time where my father-in-law's up with the dogs, and I got it muted just so I don't. make a lot of noise.
Well, I hope you feel welcome to chime in.
I do. I'm just waiting. It's almost over. I'm also just kind of looking for a budget. It doesn't really.
I was looking too. I couldn't find anything.
Because it doesn't really want to say anything about it.
Because, I mean, why would Disney want to throw over $100 million at something? It's not like their banner
There's
product.
no way.
88 million.
88?
For this?
That seems crazy high.
Really high.
So that's just like straight an investment in Hulu, I guess, right? Because they want the Disney streaming bundle. ESPN kind of sells itself. Disney Plus. I don't know.
What would the budget be on? It would be on the CGI, and the CGI is not incredible. It's serviceable, but it's not like the best ever. 88 million? That seems fucking
Well, you
crazy.
got to remember, dude, shooting out in the wilderness is expensive. Like, it takes a long time to shoot that shit. You're hauling a lot of equipment and traversing a lot of equipment. It's not easy.
I think the CGI with the Predator himself is basically flawless, honestly.
Could be a lot of the money.
Anytime that maybe looked bubbly or something, I don't know how else to describe it.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
It more so just reminded me of the old Predator, so I forgave it. But with the animals, that's where I was seeing it, right? You guys too, like the grizzly bear, the wolf a couple of times. Yeah.
88 is not correct, by the way. I misread that. I apologize.
Thank
that makes
God.
more sense, though. Right?
8.8.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of keeping it. It looks like they're kind of keeping it.
That's what Mikey's saying.
This is a tax scheme by Disney somehow. I'm going to get down to the fucking bottom. I got breaking news, fellas. Let's go. Right now, Disney is on its way.
Breaking special report with
Mikey.
Live from Chicago, Illinois.
Disney is up to something.
You know, there's
it.
4 guys drinking scotch and smoking cigars over this being a hit on Hulu, and they just made millions off a tax scheme, like Mikey said.
But why are all of Dan Trachtenberg's movies so weird? Because remember, 10 Cloverfield Lane was the 3rd or 4th podcast we ever did for the stream.
Perfect
And at the
bottle
time
episode movie. Perfect bottle episode movie.
Is this
And
a
we had
marketing
no
thing?
idea.
Is he trying to make this a cult classic by holding it back in this way? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. All of his movies are so weird like that. Because we're is this a sequel? Is it in the same universe? Is this just an anthology? We had no idea. And everything about the release of this movie was so weird. But it also really feels like one of his movies too, right? Because when you think about 10 Cloverfield Lane, spoiler alert, it ends with the aliens and going all crazy batshit at the end, right? And this was almost the same thing, like you're saying, Stevie. It could just be a Native American movie for 3/4 of it, and a Predator for the last quarter.
Oh, that'd have been
it still worked.
Fucking yeah, it would. I'm telling you, if you guys watch it again and in your head start editing anything Predator out until the grizzly bear fight, it works perfectly. The movie still works.
You're gonna die on this hill.
No, because it also takes out the bad CGI for the most part until we get to the grizzly
if you
bear.
want to keep in the Thunderbird scene, cool, I guess.
Just keep it as vague as the spaceship flying through the clouds.
Yeah, that's cool.
Up until
Yeah, that's fine. You want to take that as a sign, cool. But man, take out the little animal. I get it to kind of understand the Predator more, but we already know the Predator kind of and how they operate.
But if you're just cutting, you're gonna get this movie below 90 minutes.
Fine.
For sure. All right.
Fine.
Well, Mikey at the beginning said he wanted to see more. Which of the plot lines do they need to dig into?
If you cut the animal parts and just add what? That's 5 minutes. Just add 5 more minutes of him fucking up the French trappers. Sign me up, bro. Fighting another bear or something. Fighting another animal. That was pretty sick.
And speaking of the trappers, Mikey, did anybody else really appreciate that we didn't get to see what they were saying? Understand it unless we spoke French?
Brett. Brett's our French boy.
Brett, you're French.
Oh, we also have to mention that there's a Comanche dub as well.
Yes.
I guess.
That's
I don't know
cool.
if anybody watched.
I picked up some stuff, believe it or not. When they talked slower, they said a lot of stuff about the female. So, and they when it said chien, they said chien 10 times. That's French for dog. So one of the French guys actually says "you are a dog" at one point to her.
Did anybody watch the Comanche cut?
I Am Tomorrow.
Comanche dub.
How do you find it? Like,
It's
where
on Hulu.
It's right next.
It's right next to
it's
it.
Like,
do you
Yeah.
change the audio, or it's? I don't
No.
see it.
no, it's like on the splash page or whatever. You could just like tab over.
Yeah.
It says like Comanche cut.
You know what's really cool? When you look at the cast, it's like, here's some of the names. Mid Thunder, Beavers, Stormy, Thrush, Antelope. Like, that's dope. I freaking love that.
Yeah, Amber Mid Thunder, Dakota Beavers. Yeah.
Crowfoot.
She's actually like 3 years older than her brother in this movie in real life.
One of the guys' names, this is the first time I've seen this. His name is Cody Big Tobacco. So, is that a big tobacco leaf, or is that referred to like Big Pharma? Big
No, he's part of Altria. Yeah.
His nickname is
Philip
Philip
Morris.
Morris.
Congress answers to Big Tobacco. Does it say who plays the Predator?
Yeah, he's the shortest Predator ever. He's only 6'9".
6'9".
That's it.
Only
Jesus
6'9".
Christ.
Well, the guy who played him in the first movie was 7'3".
Damn.
7'3".
that
He
is
doesn't seem
crazy.
that large, I guess.
Kevin Peter Hall, I think. He's in the first and second one, plus Harry and the Hendersons, and played Chewbacca in something.
This Predator is just 50% abs. It goes all the way up to his neck. Just abs.
Dane DeLiegro.
I want to take spoilers to like behind the scenes a little bit. Sometimes Stevie and I pass around little ideas for movies. Sometimes we even like write outlines or little like scenes and pass them back and forth. Stevie, there was like a full year where you were obsessed, and it's my fault,
Still am.
with the local Native American kind of stories in our Elkhart, Indiana area with Pierre Moran and like
We
his
do
real
live
life.
like in like a hotbed of Native American named cities, though.
Potawatomi.
And
Mishawaka.
French name cities.
Mishawaka,
Lafayette.
Wakarusa, Napanee, Wawasee, Elkhart, like Goshen. A lot of Native American names.
Concord Minutemen.
I would
Milwaukee.
if nothing else from this Predator movie, I would love to see more movies that kind of display how those people lived back then. It's fascinating. I wish we knew more about it.
Like, there's little things too that this movie did. Like, there's a couple things they did wrong, especially with like the French fur trappers, like just like leaving like the buffalo like just skinned.
Yeah, they would never do that.
Only Americans did that shit. Like, that was extremely like only Americans that were going west that did that shit, and the ones in Indiana that decimated the population, unfortunately.
Again.
But
The buffalo is on our state quarter. Just so you
Yeah.
guys know.
like,
Or your guys' state quarter. I'm Illinois now.
I
so
know
fuck you guys.
buffaloes used to roam here, man. Makes me sad. But
You have Rob Blagojevich on your state court.
it's just an
There's
empty
just a
seat with
gun and
cash
a
in it.
bullet.
But like the Comanche, the Lords of the Plains, man. There's little things in this movie that made me really happy, especially when Tabi at a certain point was just like, I need a horse. Like, just get me a horse. Like the Comanche, whether it be legend or real, you know, in stories passed down through generations, were doing shit on horses that shouldn't be possible. Like, especially when it came to warfare. So to see like Tabi like leap from his horse and throw a spear at the Predator and get him, like, made me really happy.
And just evade the Predator and just kind of best him. And
Yeah, like the Comanche,
he's
man, those
invisible.
guys they would throw down. And I mean, maybe we'll see it in movies going forward, but the settlers going west did not have a good time with the Comanches, put it that way.
Either did other Indian tribes or Mexicans.
Yep.
It's a good time to set a Predator movie, too, right? Because Predator is this invading species, and you parallel that with these people who are taking over their land that they lived in.
Yeah, Pappy, you kind of brought it up earlier, like how I feel like growing up, especially like watching John Wayne movies, like older westerns, you were kind of like
Gunsmoke.
you kind of always saw kind of Native Americans in this post-Civil War type era. You know, when things, you know, you start to get the Trail of Tears, the Trail of Death, you know, the Indian Removal Act, stuff like that. where they weren't in kind of like a thriving state. And to see like the Comanche in the early 1700s kind of in their normal, unopposed state was nice to see.
Too bad it was about 1,200 miles, a little too north, but let's not get nitpicky.
What's that?
Well, they weren't, from what I read, they weren't in the North Plains up there. They were down south. But I don't care. I don't watch it for history, so.
Right.
The thing is, though, is like I feel like I don't know. We've talked about this a lot, but I feel like you don't even need that like clash of cultures connection.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is like a cool time period for the Predator to come and fight people in, and that's why this movie's so great.
Yeah.
Adding the Frenchman, though, made it so like there's a whole new kind of cast of weapons that they could kind of use in the movie, and I appreciated that, Pat.
Brett, did you like the inclusion of the Andolini gun?
I was hoping someone would get into lore with me. Like, I think the biggest question people have is, how did that gun get from her to back to the Predator and the Predators? And so I guess we're going to launch into this. I have a Stevie question, I guess, for you. Well, do I need to, does anybody know what Steve and I are talking about?
Please explain.
I've seen that movie and I still don't know.
Okay, so at the very end of Predator 2, when Danny Glover ends up killing the last Predator, he's actually in the Predator spaceship.
Yep.
And I believe 3 elder Predators show up, and Danny Glover obviously thinks that he's going to die, but again, they're like respectful-ish, and he comes up and he hands him this gun that you see, 1715 or whatever name that is, Raphael.
Yeah, Raphael Andolini, something like that, yeah.
It's supposed to be like a sign of respect to him as him being a good warrior. Now, where we get into problems with continuity, and I have not read this, I'd like to, but there is a Predator graphic novel or comic called Predator 1715, and
yes,
it has this whole complete backstory of the Predators fought all these pirates and over in like Australia, I think, area, and that's how he got. They battled this guy Raphael, whatever, and it was a great battle, and it was just respectful. So he took the gun, but this rewrites that. So I guess the question is that I've seen people are arguing about, and I don't really know, is when you see the spaceship at the end. Which I actually don't even know if I noticed until I read about it. Are they coming back to kill her?
Spaceship at the end.
Yeah, so at the end credits, when it shows the story,
awesome end credits.
Yeah, when it shows kind of the story, kind of like by like painting.
Oh, by cave painting, there's more story happening.
Yeah, so at the end when it shows Naru kind of like being the war chief now, when it pans out a little bit more, you see 3 ships kind of like coming through the clouds. So typically in Predator lore, when you kill one, more return. So that's where, I mean, the other thing is too, Brett, about continuity. I mean,
oh, I don't care.
Oh, I know.
How long does it take the other ones to get there, though? Are they going to return in like Naru's lifetime, or are they just returning to Earth later?
And then they just like flew up.
Well, 100% they're going to come and get the body if they can find it, because they don't like to leave a trace.
Yeah.
But pretty much the 2 choices of what happened at the end are either they came back and they did it again and killed her and took the gun back. That's how they get it 300 years later. Or somewhere down the line, they came back and fought one of her ancestors or something like that and got it. So I don't know. I think it's supposed to be ambiguous. And I would say that it might talk about in the sequel, but I think that we're all kind of maybe hoping that they go to different time periods. So maybe they won't.
I wouldn't mind seeing Naru again. I thought she was a great heroine.
Yeah. Her training, like the new, let's be honest here. They're all going to be training like more women and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the story would be.
It would be weird to, like, I don't know, attack the same person again. I feel like
Maybe like one of like Billy's ancestors.
We would see someone hunting Arnold's. Like, that would have been a sequel.
Right, and like, where's the honor in that? Like, they beat you.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think it's cool to think about. Like, I can also imagine that they don't really like to lose, but
Petty.
yeah. So it's interesting, but yes, that's what happens at the end. And like, I saw the gun, I was like, holy crap! Because again, Predator 2 is not great at all.
No,
it's actually pretty bad.
He's out of breath the entire time.
No, it's real bad.
I liked the concept of that, like the concrete jungle, but it was just, they tried way too hard to make it futuristic and stuff.
Also, Danny Glover, too old for that shit.
It's on Hulu, by the way, if you guys want to watch that.
Hulu, Predator City right now.
I think Predators is on Hulu too.
No, my Hulu recommendation is all Predator movies.
But the Predator is not.
Prey is not on the front page. You got to search for it. It's fucking insane. I don't understand what Hulu is doing.
Same. It's like the highest. I read. It's like the highest opening stream on Hulu ever, like by a long shot.
I'll also say this: if there was a movie to be kicked out of the Predator universe that doesn't have a versus in it, it would definitely be Shane Black's The Predator, or whatever the hell that was. It's just god-awful. It doesn't need to be watched, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, I just want to watch it just so since they kind of wiped out the two Versus movies from the lore, that's the only one I haven't seen. I mean, I should at least watch it. I know it's going to be bad, but...
That was a very specific time in movie history. It's the AVP movies. That's like, I don't know. That
versus
seemed like
Jason.
It was just... That was like the beginning of the multiverse, I guess. One of the few things that you can recall, at the very beginning, was AVP.
But beyond the continuity of the gun, how do you guys feel about the overt line reference from the first movie?
If it can bleed, we can kill it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have, in my opinion, the most famous line, though, so...
Stick around.
No,
Jesse Ventura's F slur?
No.
That one, no.
I guess I would say You Are One Ugly Mother. That's probably the one that gets But yeah, obviously, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I mean, that's the name of Jesse Ventura's autobiography and everything. But I think in every movie they've had the You're One Ugly. So but also I think the guy said, do it now. I think one of the guys said that.
I thought it was hype. It was I was like, damn, that was fucking awesome right there.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty natural too.
It seems like something a human would say. It did not seem forced. It was like Arnold could have come to that conclusion separately from this Comanche. I bought it, Pat.
I liked it too. I wasn't anti at all. I thought that was just enough, actually. I loved it.
Yeah, I think it was a little goofy because immediately after that, the Predator steps into a bear trap. It's just like the goofy Predator they dropped off. He's not very aware.
But at least the bear trap was set up within the script, right? Stevie, I think you told me it took him 2 years to write this movie.
What's the director's name? Dan Trachtenberg, is that his name?
Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
Him and I don't remember the other writer's name. I think they developed this movie for about 4 years. So that's a lot of TLC going involved to getting the story just right. Because as I said before, I mean, you got 35 years between good movies. So you can tell that this movie was not rushed. It was not studio handing it off. I think it went to people that actually care about the lore. And also just, building a good story in general. I think it just worked.
Did it get that COVID TLC bump? They had just extra time to just work on the script and massage it over and over. You know what I mean?
Massage it and poke it, my little pet.
That and Pap, I don't know. How do you feel about the movie The Revenant?
The Revenant?
Yeah.
Good one-time watch.
I would agree. It was also unfortunate how many of the iconic shots were in the trailer. That bothered me.
Yeah. That's
especially the horse going off the cliff.
That's 100% what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Very bleak, though, compared to this.
The one thing that I appreciated that this movie did, or didn't do that The Revenant did, was I felt like The Revenant was a landscape movie.
Mm-hmm.
where it was just showing Leo DiCaprio zoomed out from 3 miles away the entire time. And this movie felt a lot more in your face and tighter. And I think it would have been really easy, especially with how short it was, to make it more of like a landscape movie. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, there's a lot of variety though too, right? Like I would say it doesn't linger on the landscape shots, but the first note that I wrote were that there's 4 establishing shots that are better than like 60% of the movies that we watch in using its setting, right? And setting up where we are, because they look cool. And like, I think there's like one shot that's like overhead with her walking with the dog too, and like the long tracking shot. Like, it doesn't reuse any of those tools, right? But it sprinkles them in just enough for like this feels like a really well-made movie when you're watching it, and it's like mind-blowing. Again, this is like a straight to streaming movie. It doesn't feel like it at all.
It's mind-boggling.
Something fishy going on.
Mikey.
Something not right. Well, I mean, I just am baffled by like the decisions studios have been making like the last, 5 years. They're just constantly churning out Marvel movies and sequels and prequels and stuff, and like
reboots.
This is a sequel prequel, and they don't want to, and it's like actually good, like just a straight up original twist on an established franchise, and they are not putting it in a theater on like such a dead weekend. Somebody tell me what came out this weekend in theaters, and if this thing couldn't have made more money than it. Like I'm just so surprised.
There are definitely articles. There's an article out there that Forbes said why Prey likely would have struggled in theaters. So they have this whole long theory about it.
Bullet Train would have been its biggest competition.
Wait, Bullet Train came out this weekend?
It looks like the worst Brad Pitt movie he's ever made.
Is it
looks
bad?
like the worst movie. I don't know. It looks like a Netflix movie, though.
I thought it looked interesting.
I said it was interesting.
We're doing a podcast on Prey, not Bullet Train. I feel like that says a lot.
Well,
right
she had a bullet train right into the Predator's head at the end, so it's a nice little shot. And then knocked the helmet off. That was really cool. Yeah, loading a flintlock pistol was not very easy back then.
I mean, Easter Sunday came out in theaters, but Prey can't.
Disney's got excuses, whether you believe it or not. They said they wanted to show that we could have a blockbuster on, Hulu, and it's going to be Hulu's first baby that could be made into sequels, and they wanted it to prove to everyone that tons of people would watch it. I mean, that's like what they said.
Yeah, because Disney doesn't want to make money. I mean, who would have thought?
Well, no. Well, it's like I said, like of those 3 brands, right? Disney Plus, ESPN, was it ESPN Plus and Hulu? Hulu's definitely the weakest brand. Like, what's the best Hulu original show?
Handmaid's Tale.
I like Hulu because it's got all the new stuff. What We Do in the Shadows is on there.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine was on there for a while.
Yeah, the problem with Hulu is at least half the stuff now is live TV. You have to have live TV.
Yeah.
It's like I pay for all this stuff, and there's movies that literally can't watch all the time. You're going to watch it on Tubi.
Or not Tubi.
That is a terrible question.
Let's just do this. Let's go around the table. Let's do final thoughts and yes or no's. And Brett, let's start with you.
Yeah, so when first time I saw this trailer, I was pretty excited about it, and I think it lived up to the hype. I think it was really good. I don't think that's a surprise for anybody here after what we just talked about. I like pretty much everything about it. Really cool. I'd be interested that now that we're talking about to see that budget. So if it's like lower, it'd be really impressive. Again, I thought overall it looked pretty well, and I think the Predator always looks good. So whether they have to pump a bunch of money to make him look good, who knows? But definite solid yes for me. Really cool. I hope they do more of them.
Pappy.
Definite hard yes. I think one of the only things that we didn't talk about, which I had written down, was the score.
Ooh, good one.
It's really good, and it's like I said, it's just too good for this type of movie, right? And I don't know. I would say this movie kind of delights you and delight in the way that like it exceeds all of your expectations, right? For a Predator sequel in a straight to Hulu movie. Honestly, probably one of like the most fun movies that I've watched this year. And I really don't give a shit about the Predator lore, but I tend not to care about lore in franchises in general. And if we can really just get like more serialized, like Predator fighting people in Australia, or Predator fighting people in Japan, or Predator fighting like people in ancient Africa or something, like all of that shit would be super cool. Or even dinosaurs. Like that sounds amazing to me. But definite hard yes for Prey. Only the second Predator movie I've seen, but pretty close to the first. It's probably a toss-up between which one I like more. Big fan.
I need to see Predator in New Zealand trying to find and kill Psycho Sam. Is he a bush? Is he not a bush? I mean, how's the Predator going to know?
Let's go, Josh.
Was Josh away?
He's on the mute.
No.
Oh.
Sorry, I was muted, but I said on mute, hard yes. I echo a lot of what Pap says with just exciting to watch. Like, I had to watch this movie in 2 segments, and I couldn't wait to start watching it again. And that's always like a great barometer. Like, if you have to take a break, what's the just like subconscious feel when you're about to jump into it again? Are you pumped, or is it going to be chore-like? Oh no, another movie for spoilers. Ugh. Another Predator sequel. Ugh. Another Batman. Another Marvel movie. Oh. One thing I disagree with you though, Pat, is I think I would watch a sequel with just Naru. Maybe she has like a couple tokens from the Predator, but it's just completely about the Comanche tribe post Predator. I just love living in this world with them for this 90 minutes. Like, I know it wouldn't happen, but a sequel without the Predator would still be cool. And I'll leave you guys with this. Friend of the pod, Kyle McVeigh, tweeted about this movie yesterday. Pappy, he's one of your oldest friends, as well as me and Brett's.
When's he coming back on the pod?
I hope soon, but he said it's at Rocket_Kyle. He's one of the hosts of the LOL JK pod, close friends of this pod. He said, okay, I'm going to need Alamo or the New Bev or any theater in LA to do a run of Prey showings, because that shit needs to be seen with a crowd. Also, it's shot beautifully. I don't like that he used the word vistas here, but he said some stunning vistas that were clearly intended for the big screen. And I think, Mikey, like you're saying, it's just like everyone's kind of confused. What's going on with this thing? But anyway, as a movie, it's awesome. Hard yes.
Josh, you saying you want a sequel without Predator? Like, just like Eat, Pray, Hunt? Is that like a sequel where it's just they're just growing up, or
they just grow the corn and it's all peaceful for the whole 90 minutes?
Yeah, Comanches were known for growing corn.
You know what I mean, though? Like, I think it's almost like that thought experiment. Like, what happens after Aragorn becomes king? Like, do all the orcs just like get decimated, like holocausted? Or
yes, they do.
And is that, so is that good? But I think, like, what happens after the Predator? Like, how does she hold on to this? And I think they could carry some elements. Like, maybe she has part of the helmet. She has that little, like, weapon that
she's got all the gadgets.
Yeah, she's got gadgets.
All the settlers coming in.
And that gun could be passed on. So we got, like, it's in the Predator universe, but just, I think it was strong enough without the Predator. Almost like Stevie was saying throughout the pod. But anyway, this is way extending my yes or no way longer. Sorry.
Dances with Comanches.
This is obviously a super hard yes, and I think it moves up into like the best straight to streaming movie of all time, simply for the fact that it should have been released in theaters and would have made like $200 million this weekend probably. But I think it's great. I think it's just on par with the OG Predator movie. I think they both have like their own strengths, and they're both equally as enjoyable to watch. The Mary Sue shit with Naru is fucking pointless. She's running for 80% of the movie. and just learning how this predator operates, and that's how she outsmarts and beats the predator. So I don't know. I think people complaining about all that woke bullshit are just like people who don't enjoy watching movies, really. So I hate that type of talk around this movie, but I loved it. I wish it was longer, and I never say that about like any movie. And I think it just cut all of the bullshit out. It was very trim, and every scene had something great about it going on. And yeah, like the only complaint I have is probably what Stevie was saying earlier in the pod, that let's do the Jaws thing. Let's not see the monster until like we absolutely have to.
Thank you.
I think like if he was revealed in like that ashy battlefield scene, like where he does like become uninvisible, I think that would have been pretty sweet, like to have the very first reveal of him be that, not knowing anything about what this movie was going into it. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, it's a super hard yes for me, and just instantly I can't think of a better straight to streaming movie off the top of my head. I think this is the best, solely because Disney is weird.
Honestly, though, guys, we can't stress enough how crazy it is that Mikey wants the movie to be longer. So you got to see this movie.
You gotta see it.
It means something. Trust me.
It's like PK giving a Jurassic Park movie a no.
Or a Marvel movie. No, yeah, for sure.
A movie a no. Also, Stevie, since we're in final thoughts, I don't think we talked about, because you brought this up to me earlier today, your favorite death, the net.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Like, that's like Predator 2 style, but just...
Predator 2, yeah.
Yeah, just the way it was, like, angrily thrown out, I'd have to say, just because the net was thrown on him. And then he goes on to, like, stabbing two guys through each other. He makes a little pile. And just see how pissed off he is to throw that net at that guy was so cool.
What about the guy that gets the bear trap thrown at him?
And, like, I don't know, this director's fantastic. Same with the cinematographer. Like, you can shoot a scene a million different ways. Josh knows that. But, like, I loved how when he threw the net, it wasn't just a still camera. It panned down underneath. Like, that's a really cool way to shoot that scene.
Just get all the aftermath of like that guy getting crushed and incinerated
cubed,
by...
Yeah, just, you know, that's cool shit to do. But, yeah, I will give this movie the hardest of yeses. I think this is probably my favorite Predator movie. And I am a little biased just because Pap knows that, like, I've been reading about the Comanche for years. And to see them, like, somewhat represented on screen was really cool. Yeah, I just thought the effects were great. The acting is fantastic. The writing was really good. I thought it was really smart to, you know, set this Predator movie way back when, you know, early 1700s. And as far as sequel goes, I mean, I'm cool with just, like, seeing a sequel of Naru live out, like, her daily life. I don't even need an alien or, you know, settlers coming afoot. Just see Naru for the rest of her life. She's super cool.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we don't like your idea, Josh. We like Stevie's idea.
Okay, fair enough.
I will say this, though. Right around this time period is probably around the time when the Comanche are going to start exclusively migrating south. They're extremely nomadic at this point in their tribal history. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see a movie with Naru going south and her running into obstacles that way, the closer they get to Texas. So, yeah, hardest of yeses.
Let me hop in here real quick. Mikey mentioned it. I didn't feel like we did mention it. That you called it like the ashy scene. I think of it as like the foggy scene, and that like looks so incredible to me. That whole like where the French are trying to take him out. It's just so cool looking. I don't know if that's cinematography or just everything, but it looked really, really cool.
Shout out to those tertiary Frenchmen who stayed underground under sacks as the first wave of Frenchmen were killed, terrifyingly. Then the second wave were killed extra terrifyingly and knowingly, loudly. And they stayed hidden until that predator stepped in that bear trap. You love to see it.
No!
Honorable.
Honorable.
One last final thought too. I mean, you said the director, like Dan Trachtenberg. I'm looking at his IMDb page now. He's now in the top 100 directors on IMDb, but like basically just from this. And like he's directed an episode of The Boys, an episode of Black Mirror, Prey, and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Whatever he directs, I'm gonna watch it now, like 100%. He's a freaking great director, and the fact that he wrote the story too, the script's so tight. Like, I don't know. Favorite of the pod, 2 Movie Club.
What other movies does he have?
Just 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the first movie he ever held writing with. So
That's pretty wild.
yeah, that dude can direct, no doubt. I mean, especially when it comes to like sci-fi shit. I mean, he can make a rom-com if he wants. I don't care. I'm sure he could pull it off. But like, I think he does really well with sci-fi.
Oh, he's doing a Waterworld series?
Get the fuck out.
Wow.
That's what it says.
That's pretty crazy.
Holy shit.
Space Race. He's got 4 things coming up. The Secret Life
Directed?
of Houdini. I think that should be Cooper. Alexander Cooper and him should get together.
What makes the perfect man?
What makes the perfect predator?
I mean, Sandow and Houdini were probably both
I
big
want
at the time.
Predator versus Sandow. That's the matchup I want to see. Apex Predator of
His
Victorian
player is
era.
honorable. He's just gonna box him like a, put his dukes up.
Mikey, please hit the "Oh brother, this guy." It's too late. Never mind.
You forced it, Josh.
No, I don't think that's a bad idea. That's a good idea. I want to see
me?
that.
I want to hear "Oh brother, this guy stinks" every time Alex Cooper's mentioned from now on.
Oh.
This is an edited portion of the pod, but that's just
He's getting so much closer to hunting us all down.
You don't want none of this. He might want a box, but I ain't about it.
Well, I have 2 surprises tonight.
If it's going to go on a while, I got to pee.
I gotta pee too.
why don't you
I
guys
gotta
go
go
pee
pee.
while Pappy reads this? Or Stevie, you set it up.
Aw.
Should I wait?
Or yeah, I have time to wait.
I got time.
I'm just peeing.
I want to pee
pee.
too. We're all peeing.
Be back.
They all need medicine, my lords. Thank you for letting me do trivia. It's short, but I'm gonna.
I don't even have anything.
I will tell a bit of a story, and you're gonna fucking love it.
Let's go. I think Naru is so cool, man. Like, first off, she's a good fucking actress, but she's a well-written character.
You know what struck me that's sick?
What's that?
At the end of this movie, I came away thinking she's literally equal badass to Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of Predator.
100%.
Like, you get it. Like, yep, she's the one that earned that or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 110%. Like, maybe that's just like, I know it's a common thing from like the 80s to even now with Furiosa, but like the whole, female taking, big bad down, but like, I don't even know if I want to call it a trope, but it's something I fucking love. From Sarah Connor to Ripley to Furiosa to Naru, like even Atomic Blonde, like that shit, like I love.
In this one, it's fair because some of the reasons she escapes is because of like her weaker stature than the other people around. And that makes sense within the Predator universe,
She also learns.
It's not just that too, but like the one thing I loved, and I read online about people knocking it and whatnot, was the feral predator was like a bumbling predator. He was a stupid predator. He was a weak predator. It's the only reason that she could like win or escape. But it's like this predator was getting like murked the entire time. It's not like he was 100 HP going into the Naru fight. You know what I mean? Like Tabi messed that dude up. His friends messed that dude up.
The wolf.
The wolf messed that dude up. Like, it was nice to see, not a superhero predator go against not a superhero main character. Like, that's always fun to see, and there's a lot more suspense and tension when you do that.
That brother, his like he had already been stabbed through the chest, and that last moment where he like stabs his thigh is so cool. And you could argue like that kind of wins her the day because
Oh,
it
yeah.
slows them down
Like,
that like half step.
Naru
right?
had help along the way, and that's cool. Like, she
really
didn't have to like go to like the school of Rocky, and Rocky 4, and go run up mountains and lift a ton of weights in a barn to get jacked to beat the bad guy. Like, she had help. It's cool.
Yeah, nobody's going to take on a Predator 1v1. Everybody contributes chip damage to his overall health. And so he's like weak, weak enough to just like fall on. Ooh. Everybody like gets their shots in.
Well, I'm just saying Billy tried to take him on. It didn't go well. And then the Yakuza guy actually killed the Predator in one-on-one in Predators.
Mm-hmm.
What? It's actually probably by far the coolest scene in the movie.
It's the only good scene of the movie when he samurais him, yeah.
Yeah, no, Mikey, look it up on YouTube. It's awesome. They go 1v1. He's got a samurai sword, and he fights the Predator who's just got his blades. It's really cool.
Steve from Big Dumb Movie. No, other Steve. Please write in with and just pick that argument apart that Brett just said. It's not a good scene, is it?
He's not a samurai. He's got a samurai sword.
He'd never use it in that way. Anyway, I'll just let Steve fill in the blanks.
I don't care what Steve thinks of me.
Just trying to bring a bow to the episode, Brett. Dang.
One thing I meant to bring up, Stevie, was I think it's cool that the Predator and Naru, they're literally both going through the same thing.
Yeah, they're both going to their Kutamiya. I thought that was great.
And they both learn as hunters. And kind of like what one of you guys said, he got like murked up the whole movie, so like it definitely helped her out. Mm-hmm. Like if he did learn, but he was going against 80 people the whole movie. So it's just really cool parallel, and really cool. I wish we would have brought that up.
You hear that, writers of Hollywood? Punish your main characters, but also punish your villains too. It helps.
Ooh.
Okay. Pappy, we got a surprise, right? Surprise email write-in?
Yes. We have an email from David.
Wow.
The soundboard on fire tonight.
Got
Mikey,
incoming
ladies and
messages.
Greetings and well wishes, spoilers fam. Dave here with some simple simpin'. I found your pod earlier this year and just want to send some love your way. Started listening to eps about movies I've already seen, but your chemistry and format have me going through the whole catalog.
Aww.
The chemistry mileage will vary through the whole catalogs. Appreciate that though. Out of all the movie pods I listen to, I'm the most excited when I see a new spoilers episode.
Damn.
I don't know if I would have ever seen movies like Princess Mononoke or thought of watching Passion of the Christ Blackout Drunk would make for a good pod. Number 69. Looking forward to the future of the pod and wish you all the best. I don't know if I'd ever seen wishing you all the best. Cheers, spoilers crew. P.S. Just listened to Brett's punishment episode, by the way, and now I'm hopeful for a full crew review of Tropic Thunder so Brett can see that shit.
Ooh.
Shout out to Kylo, who's not here tonight. Great addition to the pod. That's it, I think. One love, brothers. Great email, David. Podcastspoilers@gmail.com, Stevie, if the listeners want to email us.
Finally, a write-in that doesn't involve Vince.
Or send us a telegram.
I don't mind the telegram.
Or call and leave us a review in your best Orson Welles impression.
Ooh.
Or rap to the streets, Mike Skinner.
Why are you making fun of me, Brett?
I love you, crew. I love listening to you.
So at least one person approves of the Blackout Passion of the Christ episode.
Pappy didn't even like it. I still
person.
remember. I thought you said, I hate Jesus, but you just said, I hate this. You just kept going, I hate
This
this.
episode, Pappy fell asleep.
It's an art project. There's 45 minutes of silence on that podcast, guys.
Did you fall asleep or did you pass out?
I passed out, but then I woke up with my computer running, still recording at like 3 a.m. and hit stop.
Did you really?
And went to bed.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Pap had me listen to that podcast 4 times, and each of the 4 times I told him to keep closing that gap not as much time of you sleeping. We don't need an hour and a half. No, we don't need an hour. We don't need 50 minutes.
Well-
Finally talked you down to 42 minutes, I think, of silence.
Let's go.
Sometimes people like to fall asleep to podcasts. This is a new concept. Fall asleep literally with the hosts.
Oh. And surprise, Josh has some trivia for us because he's doing the work that I didn't have time to do today. So thank you.
Stevie, you're going to love this trivia the most. And
Cannot wait.
it's not going to be a D&D thing. It's not going to last an hour and a half. Some people may know what we're talking about, but I mentioned earlier on the pod, locally, we have a very famous Potawatomi Indian chief named, what's his name, Stevie? Pierre Moran. But he had other names too. We've talked about this before.
A lot of different names, yes.
Okay, I want to read you guys something, and the closest to is right at the top. I'm just going to say blank, and then let me read a
Guy
little
who
bit.
owns the mall?
Yeah, Pappy. We grew up in Elkhart. What do you know about Pierre Moran? Chief Pierre Moran.
It was a middle school that we ran track against. That's all I remember. I know nothing. Stevie knows all the lore.
I know a little bit about the pool.
So, okay, let me decode for non-Elkhart listeners. There's a pool named after Chief Pierre Moran in our Elkhart area, and there's
a mall with the best cookie shop ever.
There's a mall named after him, and there's a middle school named after him. Any other facts?
Note the French
besides
name.
I always
Stevie.
thought he was a titan of industry in Elkhart. I didn't realize that he was just...
He invented the RV. Pierre Moran.
Here's a Pierre Moran fact, Josh. The
Yeah.
patron listener, Brother Brian, fell off the top water slide.
That's where that happened? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I know that
Wait,
story.
He fell?
Yeah, he fell off the top of it onto the cement. It was
Oh, man.
July 4th, 1993. Brian, I know you're listening. It's an awful day, but he made it out.
Oh, my God.
Good God, Brett.
Broke 5 bones.
Broke 5 bones?
Yeah, he broke his wrist, 2 bones in his back, and 2 bones in his pelvis.
Oh, my God.
How old was
God.
How old was he?
He would have been 10.
Oh, my God.
Yikes.
Does anybody know any
ruins the
other
summer.
facts about Pierre Moran? No,
I
I love
don't,
this.
I'm sorry.
No, I love the story, Brett. But to my point, does anybody know anything else about Pierre Moran besides Stevie? Don't give it away, Stevie.
I won't.
Absolutely not, no.
I don't know.
He's got a French name. Is that for a reason?
They really couldn't, really pin that down in, historical lore why he was called Pierre Moran. Some,
Pierre?
long story short, some people thought it was a slight at him, that he would have been no one can really trace his lineage, whether he was a part of 2 tribes what would that have been, because he's kind of married into the Potawatomi tribe. He wasn't born into
married
it.
in, but
Yeah.
rumor had it his father's father was French.
Yeah, he was
But
a
at the
French
same-
Canadian fur trapper.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think one thing Stevie's trying to say is it seems like he never revealed his true name to the white man,
No,
right? Which is kind of cool. But
Easier to pronounce, I guess.
I think it was Pierreish was his actual name.
yeah, Parish,
Yeah.
Parish, something like that. But much like Brian Kelly, brother Brian, one of our favorite Patreon members, Chief Pierre Moran has a rich history. And I just want to tell one little excerpt of that. Bear in mind, this is one of the top 4 or 5 stories for me from his life. So it's not necessarily the best one, but I think it's the best for this trivia. So you'll get a blank, and that's the closest to, but just listen on, okay? So, when Pierre... This is from... I don't know, some sort of nmanchesterhistory.org. So, when Chief Pierre Moran was about blank years old, he became enamored with the charms of a young squaw who, receiving and encouraging his intentions, was being courted by another admirer. And the young squaw being undecided in her preference, the contest of the 2 rivals became urgent and warlike with threatened tomahawk embellishments. But finally, the superior attractions and amorous tactics of Moran turned the scales in his favor, and rejected the suitor. Pretty cool so far, right? On the following night, while Pierre Moran was asleep in his bunk in his wigwam, wrapped in blissful dreams of the fair, it says Indian maid, the rejected suitor crawled into his wigwam and fiendishly bit off the end of his nose.
Oh, his nose? Thank God.
Being aware that according to...
Such a disrespectful move.
Quote, Indian criminal code, this was the greatest of crimes, and the victim was in honor bound to take the life of his offender. He later fled and sought the deepest recesses of the forest and joined every stratagem known to the deepest in woodcraft to obliterate his tracks, to baffle and mislead his producer. So that's saying like the guy who bit off his nose ran away and just went and hid and ran away from the tribe and tried to like run away.
He never got found?
Next paragraph. Impelled by a burning thirst for revenge, Moran hastily dressed the wound, and with the rifle and blanket that he already had like in his pack, he started in pursuit. With consummate skill, he found the trace of his enemy and step by step followed its torturous course through thickets and swamps, over hills and valleys, through storm and sunshine, perils and disappointments. At night, rolled in his blanket, he slept under the stars or in the storm and lived under the fruits of his rifle. Wary and worn with unfailing sagacity, he slowly followed every westward through regions distant and unknown to him. Several months passed, and despairing, the dusky maiden back at home, with heart so touched and so pierced, had whispered the name of her lost lover to the glimmering lakes of Elkhart and the dying winds, and had sung many doleful ditties to the man in the moon, where when Moran, so this is several months later, with scalp at his belt, returned weary and faint to his wigwam, and on the morrow placed the scalp in the keeping of the sachem. And with a war whoop, the law was fulfilled. The wedding soon followed, and as the novels say, they lived happily ever after.
That's a true
Plot
story.
twist, she bit the tip of his penis off on their wedding night.
What was the name of this website?
It's a true story.
Squaw.com.
This is one of many sources that tell this story, but this is nmanchesterhistory.org.
That's Dr. Beardsley, though.
The prose is amazing. What was it? The woeful whims, the man in the moon. What was
It was
The
written
ditties.
many moons ago. I think that story was told by Dr. Beardsley, and Dr. Beardsley's son is the one that wrote it down.
Chief Pierre Moran.
Wait, who's Dr. Beardsley?
Well, first of all, Chief Pierre
One of
Moran
Elkhart's first residents.
He walked around with a wooden nose after his whole life, after this happened.
Yeah.
So that, like, if you had lived in that time period, you'd be like, oh, the Native American with the wooden nose. But we don't even know that. And Beardsley is like, you know Beardsley Street in Elkhart, right? It's like,
Yeah.
or the most northern.
You could see his house, too, you could see his house in the corner.
So did he track him down and kill him?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
find him?
Oh yeah.
This
Scalped him, right?
Not Beardsley, but this other rival, Potawatomi guy. But
Did he marry the girl?
Yeah, they lived happily ever after. Didn't you listen to the story
Until
at
they were
all?
forced to leave.
Dude, I don't understand half the words you just said.
It was pretty. It was a
Those are
wild
some
ride.
old words that don't get used
That's what I'm saying. The
anymore.
prose was crazy.
I read it pretty
What
much
was the
verbatim.
question?
Okay, so at the very, very beginning, when Chief Pierre Moran was blank years old, this story happened. We're going to go Stevie last, because I feel
can't
like you know
play.
the most about this. Why?
I already know it.
All right, you just say the answer after
Yeah,
everyone
I'll say the
guesses.
answer.
Same order as the top, minus me and Stevie. Go ahead from, I believe, west to east.
Well, I mean, them boys back then, they were built different, so they were getting up to hijinks way earlier than I think people would imagine. So I'm going to say like 20. He was tracking down, just being the apex predator of Elkhart, Indiana at that time.
That is the best answer I could have possibly hoped for this question, Mikey. Thank you. Who's next?
me, hijinks and pranks started at a young age. I'm going to say 19.
I mean, I have a number I was going to guess, but that's not smart for the closest two.
Just what was it? But then say what your like gamer.
My guess that
guesses.
popped into my guess that popped in my head right away was 14, but I'll say 18.
That would be crazy.
Stevie.
And your winner, the man who claims to have native blood run through him, Pappy.
Such an unlikely winner.
I knew it.
19 years old.
Listen, as the Native American representative of this podcast, I feel like I was destined to win that.
And like when it comes to like that story though, like the nose bite is so intentional and so disrespectful. Like Chief Pierre Moran like wasn't the only Potawatomi chief that had like that happened to him. Like
he was chief at 19?
No. He eventually became chief. But
that was a common thing, Stevie. Nose biters. What the hell?
It's incredibly disrespectful. It's like spitting on someone.
Disfigures you.
Well, because it disfigures you. That's why. Like it's pretty much disfiguring you to the point where like no one will like want to like be with you, or they'll make fun of you. It's kind of one of like the lowest things you can do besides like killing somebody.
I can't believe he tracked that guy that far. Like, that's insane. Wouldn't that guy like be like going through rivers and stuff to try and throw him off? Because he would know how to be tracked.
You ever seen Aragorn track? It's like that.
True.
Did you guys not catch that part? I tried to explain it, but the man who bit his nose off. This is the pros again. I'm going to try to decode this. He later fled and sought the deepest regions of the forest and employed every strategy he knew in the deepest woodcraft. It says the word woodcraft here. To take away his tracks and baffle Moran and mislead him from pursuing him.
That's what I'm saying. He's walking in figure eights and
Yeah.
swimming through rivers
Hell
and
yeah,
doing all
he
that
is.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
It became his life. Like overnight, just imagine that instead of like going to work every day, driving your car, getting
to work.
You're just like, nope, I am now killing this man and have to employ every stratagem known to deepest woodcraft.
This guy doesn't have a Fortnite battle pass to grind. He's got all the time in the world to track down this man that bit off his nose. Me, I gotta watch Prey and Comanche track just to see what it's like. I don't have time for that.
Pap wins. Pap, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, I'll take us out. Thank you again for the email, David. Please send us email. We love it. It's a free way to get us to read to you, which is always entertaining, and it's like a way you can support us without joining the Patreon. But if you want to join the Patreon, Spoiler Man will tell you about how to do that right now. Take it away, Spoiler Man.
Special thank you to our patrons, Matt Troll.
You tried it. You just... You couldn't bring it home.
Brother Brian. Druid King.
It'll think it's hunting us.
Nick.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
The Meg.
Not too little, not too much.
David.
You want to hunt something that's hunting you.
Nurse Stacy.
So that we cut.
In this wind, he brings home a red tail.
The Wolf.
You have medicine?
Barky 420.
Its mouth full of teeth like arrows, ready to tear your flesh and crush your bones.
Davy Kerr.
Don't get your bowstring wet.
If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast. Our email is podcastspoilers@gmail.com. Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is podcast spoilers. It's lit. Josh Hensley from the Rutabaga wrote our theme song. Please support this podcast by leaving us an iTunes review. To do this, 1. Search for movie spoilers. 2. Click on our orange Spoilers Bowl logo and scroll all the way to the bottom. 3. Leave us some stars and some words. Now you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts.
Spoilers is now available on Audible.
That's about the perfect time for a pod.
That's a fun episode.
Hour 30? What do you mean starting at 9:30? What do you mean time?
Just as long as the movie.
Every bit of it.
It paralleled the movie. Prey.
I think 1.5 hours is a good zone for us. 2 hours is okay, but getting too long. 3 hours is not good.
I disagree.
An hour is a quick edit, but as a listener, it feels like a short ep.
Josh, you know you were 100% responsible for the 3-hour runtime on that last podcast, right?
I know. I've been self-defecating myself ever since. It was terrible.
You've been self-defecating yourself?
I've been shitting my pants.
That was by far the best trivia, though. Like
trivia.
That story is crazy.
Trivia. Yeah.
No, I mean I had a blast.
Yeah, there's a lot of like when you
Jordan's
start
gonna
reading like
step
on
up
like
the game.
because like the saddest part about native like traditions is not a lot of shit is written down, and like languages are dying like left and right, especially like certain dialects for certain regions. So like actually like being able to like read through certain histories is really hard.
And it says in here, there's a mention of like when he came back to the tribe, specifically with a war hoop, the law was fulfilled.
Right.
So it's like this movie takes like the noises the Native Americans make in this movie. It makes sense. Like that's part of their shit. I love it. Maybe it's how wrong is it, Stevie? You know the Comanche. How accurate is this movie?
So you're kind of getting like this small, like I wouldn't call it a weekender story, but it's not over like months. Like if it had been like over like, you know, anything past 3 to 4 weeks, it kind of just depends on the hunt, you know, who's around and how often they're moving. They're a really nomadic tribe. Like Comanches were ungodly nomadic. In my opinion, horses would have been a little more prevalent in this movie. They were just unreal.
They were constantly on horses.
They were unreal on the horse, man.
We're not recording anymore, are we?
No.
Anybody?
Wow.
I'm just surprised. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised they picked Comanche because that's what they're known for, warrior. But I would say personally that they got to be one of the most problematic of the Native American tribes, correct?
In what way?
Well, obviously, not only did they raid obviously the white man, but they raided other Indian tribes.
Oh, they would kill
sold them
other
into slavery. They sold
quickly.
Yeah, they would sell them into. I'm not saying that was very unique. That's rare for Native American tribes. So they were like
also,
constantly warring.
They were supplying the Cree with slavery left and right.
Yeah.
They weren't that
sell them to
woke.
Mexicans and stuff. So yeah, I still want to bring it up on the pod, but
no.
It's a little problematic, but it is cool. It's a cool history.
Why wouldn't you bring that up on the pod? Why would that be faux pas to say?
Well,
also like during this period though, out in the, I mean, when you're like kind of like out of the colonial region, kind of out in the plains, the French and the natives would have had a much stronger bond than they showed in this movie.
Definitely.
I mean, definitely like they the tribes, especially the Comanche tribe, definitely would have sold their women to the French, and they wouldn't have been like more or less concubines. But really what the plan for that was, especially during these times, was to have children that were bilingual. Like if you were bilingual during these times, you were so important, no one would touch you. Like that was a big deal. And that's like why, yeah, and that's why Pierre Moran was like special, because he spoke French, English, and Native American. Like and he spoke 2 different dialects of Native American. So I mean, that dude was smart as fuck.
I speak English and Pig Latin.
Yeah, exactly.
And
My
French.
favorite story, and maybe we can get into it on a different pod, is he basically like sacrifices their whole tribe so that violence doesn't break out, and he's hated for it in history.
Still
of his tribe.
hated. Still hated.
They're the worst middle school, so
I mean, like
Their basketball team is garbage.
Yeah,
so
like as someone who was reading through the archives of the Potawatomi like citizenry archives, Goodman Pierre is not well looked upon in history at all.
well,
I gotta go,
hard
guys.
to tell from the Elkhart sucking his D,
Yeah, Brett.
naming everything
Bye, Brett.
after him.
See everybody. Good job.
Well, not just that, but like also like the whiskey treaties didn't help things.
I feel like if Elkhart names it after him, it was almost like hands tied, mouth gagged. They had to do something. So we'll like name a middle school, but we won't say anything about his life or history in the middle school ever, ever, ever.
And then we'll have the mall named after him with the best cookie place ever and close it down really quickly.
Close it down. They had a great card trading store for basketball.
Dude, the
cards.
cookie basket was unreal at Pierre Moran Mall. Unfucking real how good that place was. And they shut it down.
That was Spoilers.